Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of ICU. This week, I am getting ready to be away traveling for 2 whole weeks. And I thought with this trip coming up and another trip coming up in July to San Diego, and we're going to Hawaii, I thought it would be the perfect time for me to share how I prepare for traveling. And I'm really excited. Also, if you hear any sounds, that is my cat Luna. She is on my lap being really needy right now. So you might hear a meow, you might hear more of a gurgle, and that is not me. That is my cat Luna, who is very needy sometimes. So I first wanted to take you through what I do to prepare for longer flights and share a bit about what I'm packing for my trip, how I'm preparing mentally, physically, on all levels, and then anything that I do during trips that I thought might be helpful to share. I will get into that later. So, like I said, I am going to be spending the next 2 weeks abroad. I'm going to Portugal and Morocco. My friend has a friend who's getting married in Morocco. So apparently the invite got extended to people that the bride doesn't know, because I'm going to a wedding that I don't even know the bride. And how could I say no to an opportunity to go to Morocco, especially, while I'm child free? I don't know if I'm going to have kids in the future, but I try to take advantage of opportunities like this when they arise. So I'm really excited. And I'm also excited to go to Portugal because I've never been there. And I know that there's a lot to be seen there, but I am going into this trip totally blind. I usually am the trip planner when I go somewhere, but I'm traveling with my friend and her other friend, and the other friend is type A, very much so wants to be the planner. And I decided I'm going to just let it be. I'm going to let her plan everything. And this is just going to be, I'm going to be the passenger princess of this trip. And I think it's much needed. I think something that I struggle with is letting go of control. And that presents in so many different ways in my life. I really struggle. My anxiety is activated when I feel out of control of certain situations, of my body, etc. So this is going to be a bit of an exposure type therapy for me. So I think it's going to go well. But today I'm recording this on a Tuesday. I'm leaving on a Thursday. And I'm kind of getting started with the packing process. And I wanted to share some of the things that I'm packing. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about the plane ride over, because this is a 7-hour flight. It's a direct flight. I am not a layover girly if I can help it. And when I'm traveling domestically, like we just got back from a trip to Tennessee, flight was like 2 hours. I have no problem being sat wherever the airline decides to put me. We usually fly with Allegiant or one of the budget airlines because that's the only option we usually have in our location. And so we call it Russian roulette of airplane seats. We kind of just take what we get. And on this trip, my boyfriend and I got a window seat and a middle, which is usually where they put us. I get really pumped when I get an aisle seat because I just don't like to sit down for hours. I like to have a chance to stand up, stretch my legs, use the bathroom if I need to. I usually don't need to on shorter flights, so that doesn't really bother me. But when it comes to flights, my anxiety stems from being in the air in an enclosed area with no exit. And I'm so sorry if you also struggle with that. I don't want to trigger anybody here, but that is something that I struggle with. So when I was booking this 7-hour flight, I decided, okay, I'm going to pay to pick my seat because this is important to me. I want to be comfortable. I don't want to have any added anxiety about where I'm sitting. So usually when you travel internationally, and if you've traveled internationally, you probably know this, they will put you on a big plane I personally feel like I've been on planes that are set up 2-4-2. So there's 2 people near the window, there's 4 people in the middle, and there's 2 people on the other side. So there's 2 aisles. And I actually really enjoy planes that are set up like this because I like to have the window seat on long flights because I like to sleep. I want to sleep. This is going to be an overnight trip and I want to make sure that I sleep. And I am someone who takes Xanax for planes because obviously I'm an anxious girly and this is one of my big triggers. So I selected a window seat somewhere like halfway down the plane. I don't really know if front versus back is better, but I ended up in the middle and that is worth it for me to splurge on that. And luckily it wasn't like super expensive and I have hoarded lots and lots of points over the years from my credit card. So I did have some points that I could use for that. So that is something that I do to ease any worries I have about the plane. I know that people with IC and OAB might have the concern of, well, what if I have to use the bathroom a lot? And if that's you, there's a lot of things that you can do, but if you're really, really getting worked up about it, pay for an aisle seat, pay for a seat near the bathroom. I think that your comfort is worth the investment. So those are just my 2 cents. I remember when I had really bad symptoms, the window seat was my nemesis. And now it's sometimes my best friend. So that is what I do in terms of the airplane. I did record an episode back in season 3 on traveling. If you want more details or tips and tricks about plane travel and car travel, we already went into that. So I'm not going to really focus on that in this episode. So what I am packing right now in terms of packing for a trip like this, it's a lot to think about. You know, we're going to be in a lot of hot weather. We're going to be in countries or a country that it's recommended to dress more conservatively and cover, you know, your shoulders or knees, whatever. For me, when I am in a hot climate, I know about myself. I tend to hold my tension in my pelvis, in my pelvic floor. And this historically has been a bit of a trigger for me. So if I'm wearing pants that are like shorts, tighter shorts, or just pants, jeans, etc., this can be a trigger for me. Not always, but I know that about myself from the past. So I try to pack lots of dresses, lots of loose pants. I think I'm going to do like a try on video for you guys, maybe post it to YouTube because I got a lot of really awesome, I rented these clothes from Nuuly because it seemed like the more economical option here. So I got a lot of really cute pants, loose pants and dresses that I'm excited to share. And they're going to be super cute on. So in terms of clothes, that's what I'm packing. I also was a bit stressed about footwear because I have a lot of low back pain. I have a lot of foot pain when I walk for a while. So that's something I've been addressing in PT recently, but it's something that isn't gone right now. And it's the reality of the situation for me. So I am bringing probably 4 pairs of shoes so that I can rotate through and not be stuck with one pair, especially if they start to bother my feet. So I have one pair of, it's like a platform sneaker. I got on sale from Target. They were $20, I think, because it was the off season. So I just wore those on my trip to Tennessee this weekend and they were pretty decent. I didn't do a lot of walking this weekend, but I do think I'm going to pack those. I also think I'm going to pack, I have a pair of Adidas sneakers. I don't know the name of them, but they have like the 3 black stripes on them. I'll make sure to include that if I do a try on video. And I'm going to bring those. And I think I'm going to bring a white Adidas athletic sneaker. I'm going to bring a athletic white Adidas sneaker, just in case we're doing something more sporty. And then I think I'm going to bring a sandal, but TBD on that. I don't really have a lot of cute sandals. So I'm trying to bring variety there in terms of shoes. I'm packing my pelvic wand because I typically don't need to use it on vacation or when I'm traveling, but I have a feeling with the walking that we're going to be doing, I might be holding some tension in my pelvic floor. So I'm just going to bring that to be proactive. Maybe I'll use it a couple times when I'm there, but I have no issues using my pelvic wand. And I feel like I am a pro at using it at this point, especially vaginally. I've been doing this for years. I can find the tender spots immediately. I recently started using my wand rectally per a pelvic floor PT's recommendation. So that's something newer that we are working on. For this trip, I am also going to be packing some liquid IV because when I am in the sun, I at some times can feel unwell, and there have been moments where I've questioned whether I have POTS or not, or even mast cell activation syndrome, because I, again, feel really unwell when I'm in the sun. So I have to really make sure that I'm getting shade, I'm not getting too much sun. So I like to bring some electrolytes. Now, if you are concerned, like if you want to use something like that in the future, like a liquid IV, but you're afraid of the citric acid in it, the flavoring, there's this brand that actually is local to me called Enact, ENACT. They market their hydration, it's like a powder, just like liquid IV. They market it towards people with POTS, but if you're just a normal person and you want to stay hydrated and get those electrolytes replenished, that's a really good alternative. So that is something that I'm packing. My friends are packing. They bought these water bottles that filter the water, and I wanted one of them, but I forgot to order it. So I am probably going to just be paying for water bottles as we go. I don't think you're supposed to drink the water in one or both of the locations that we're going to. Can you guys tell I've done absolutely no research about these locations? Well, here we are. 2 days to take off and I don't even know what's going on. So they're bringing that type of water. I'm probably going to buy water. So I'm going to do that. When I was in Italy, and I think some other countries, they were really good about having public water fountains that you could just fill up your water bottle, like a reusable water bottle with, and it was, perfectly safe drinking water. But I heard that one or both of the countries we're going to, that may not be the case. So I'm going to do my absolute best to stay hydrated because dehydration is one of the triggers for my bladder pain. But I am very much so on top of it where I know when I'm dehydrated. I know when I'm getting close to being there, and I am really good at making sure that I am hydrated. Because guys, this has been a lifelong condition for me. And hydration is just so important for every aspect of your health. So it's not just my bladder that I'm concerned about. It's every part of my body, and I need to feel well so that I can walk and I can see whatever it is we're there to see. So yeah, that's something that I really do focus on. Sometimes when I go on trips, I get traveler's constipation. There's no TMI here. I am an IBS girly. I'm more of a mixed IBS person, but when I travel, it usually goes towards the end of constipation. And that's because I'm eating differently than I am at home. I'm not doing my regular workout regimen. I might be hydrating a little bit differently. There's a big time change. I'm sure that factors in. So that is where that hydration is going to help. That is where focusing on eating fruits and vegetables and, whole grains, things like that with fiber, that's going to help me. I usually end up doing some bowel massages on my trip, so that does help me. And then, using a pelvic wand can help relax the muscles in the pelvic floor if they do get tight. So that is another thing that I'm on the lookout for. And I also heard that I believe Morocco is one of the countries that you might find yourself without toilet paper. So I don't want to be without toilet paper. So I just ordered Good Wipes, individually wrapped Good Wipes. They're a brand of like adult wipes, I guess you would say. They've sent me some wipes before and I really, really like them. And they do sell them individually wrapped. I think it was like $10 for a good amount of them. So I'm bringing those. I can just put them in my purse. I'm excited about that. I got this purse. It's like a crossbody satchel type thing that can fit that. It can fit my passport, my gum. I chew a lot of gum. I'm like a stress gum chewer. And it will fit a water bottle. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm bringing those. And yeah, I think that's what I wanted to cover in terms of what I'm packing for this trip. And then another thing I'm doing to prepare for the trip is I'm visualizing the trip going well. I'm, taking the time to sit and think, actually take my brain through, okay, this 7-hour airplane ride going well, me feeling great, me feeling excited, and arriving at the location just feeling rejuvenated and not thinking, okay, this is the worst case scenario. Because as someone with anxiety and OCD, that is typically where my brain goes. So I have learned through working with Grace, the nervous system therapist in my Road to Remission program, that visualization is a really powerful tool for people with anxiety, chronic illnesses, and other issues. So I'm going to be doing some of that. And that's also, I think it's going to help me just ease my worries about any type of worry that I have. I am leaving my boyfriend and my cats for 2 full weeks. So I'm going to make a very lengthy list of reminders for him. I am not going to be hosting like the group calls in my program for 2 weeks. I am going to be available for my clients if they have questions, but I'm not going to be as present as I typically am. So there's always these lingering what if thoughts in my brain. And I'm currently unmedicated for my anxiety. I'm in between medications. Just to give you the down low on that, I was trying a new antidepressant called Vibrid, and I maxed out the dosage and it didn't help me. So I have been tapering off with the help of my psychiatrist, and I was on the final phase of the tapering process. And last weekend, I traveled to Tennessee and I forgot my meds. And of course, when shit hits the fan like this, it always happens on a weekend. So my psychiatrist's office was not open for questions. So I basically kind of went cold turkey on this medicine before it was time. So I'm kind of going through some minimal side effects, but I would say my anxiety is a bit higher than I am used to or where I would want it to be going into a trip like this. So I am really leaning into the nervous system practices that I have learned. So again, like that visualization, it's taking a lot of deep breaths. I love 4-7-8 breathing. Sometimes I'll do box breathing. I'm really working on breathing into my back, as I've been talking about in recent episodes. I've been doing some vagus nerve stimulation activities. I've been trying out tapping, and there's other practices I've learned as I read the pain reprocessing therapy workbook. Like there's lots of things that you can do to essentially tell your body, tell your nervous system that it is safe, even if you don't necessarily feel safe in the moment. So I have a lot of those things in my toolbox as I go into this trip. And then during the trip, how I'm kind of going to navigate that. I mean, obviously, best case scenario, I have the best time in the world. I have so much fun. You know, everything is great. My body feels great. My back pain is zero. But in all reality, I'm probably going to have some issues here and there. But the key is I don't have that fear response anymore. I don't freak out. I don't have the knee-jerk reaction of like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I don't have that anymore. So, you know, I am going to do all the things. I'm going to do breath work in the morning. I'm going to take breaks. So sit down when I need to, give my back a break. I'm going to do some stretching, hopefully in the morning and at the end of the day. I'm going to stay hydrated, like I mentioned before. And then if I have a twinge of pain, I'm not going to freak out. I know that I know what I need to do in those scenarios to, I'm not going to say get rid of the pain, but overcome those physical symptoms. So I'll do, basically in my head, I'm like, oh, I got this. Like, this is going to be fine. It's going to go away. It's just temporary. My nervous system is trying to tell me something. Probably like, stop walking so much. Like, what is this? You're going from maybe 5,000 steps a day to 20,000 plus. So, yeah, I'm going to be mentally okay. I know that for a fact. I don't have that fear factor anymore. I'm going to hydrate if that comes up. So that's my typical flare regimen. I'll drink some water. I'll do some deep breathing. Sometimes I use my pelvic wand if there is like a knot or pressure point in my pelvic floor. So yeah, I have it down at this point. And yeah, just going into this trip, I don't have any fear. Fear of bladder symptoms. I don't have any concerns about that. I guess my main concern is with anxiety, but hey, that's why I have a therapy session later today. That's why I have Xanax. I can get myself through this, and I'm really going to focus on things going well. I'm going to visualize things going well. I'm going to practice gratitude. And yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to cover with you guys. If you have any questions on traveling or anything that I went through in this episode, let me know. I think I'm going to release this one. I either might still be traveling when this gets released, or it might be the week when I get back. So I'll definitely update you on how it goes, but definitely follow along on social media. I'll post the most on Instagram. I'm at Callie K Nutrition if you're not already following me there. But yeah, if you want to follow along, that's where you can find me. And I hope this episode was helpful for you.